The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council chamber stretched impossibly high, their surfaces refracting the light of 7 different suns through the station's transparent dome. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 43 starfaring civilizations, her hands clasped behind her back, projecting a calm she didn't feel. The Vorthai speaker, a being that resembled a cross between a mantis and a tree, clicked its mandibles in what humans had learned was their version of disdain. The species calling itself humanity requests membership in our council, it announced, its translation collar rendering the chittering sounds into crisp standard galactic. Yet they have existed in space for merely 3 of their centuries. They have conquered no worlds, subjugated no lesser species, demonstrated no technological supremacy. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The slug-like hegemony, representatives oozed their approval, while the crystalline architects chimed in harmonic discord. Only the Kethmori, fox-like beings with silver fur, remained silent, their amber eyes fixed on the human delegation with what might have been curiosity. Admiral Chen stepped forward. Honorable representatives, humanity may be young among the stars, but we offer something unique to this council. Silence, rumbled the massive Thalaxian delegate, its rocky hide scraping against the reinforced chair. Words are for the weak. If these humans wish to join us, let them prove their worth in the traditional manner. Chen's heart sank. She had hoped to avoid this outcome, but humanity's xenobiologists had warned her it was likely. The Galactic Council was, at its core, a confederation built on strength. Not just military might, but the ability to face the unknown horrors that lurked in the void between stars. The trial of worth, intoned the Vorthai speaker. Your species will face the Devourers in single combat. 1 ship, 1 crew, 1 chance to demonstrate why the galaxy needs humanity. Its compound eyes glittered. Choose your champions wisely. Many species have fallen to this test. 3 days later, the UES Indomitable hung in the cold vacuum near the Tears of Andromeda, a nebula where reality itself seemed to fray at the edges. The ship was humanity's newest design, bristling with railguns, plasma cannons, and experimental shield technology. More importantly, it carried a crew of 300 souls, each one a volunteer who understood the stakes. Captain Marcus Rivera sat in the command chair, watching the sensor displays with practiced calm. His crew was young by council standards, the oldest among them barely 40 Earth years, but they were the best humanity could offer. Khan, report, he ordered. Sensors detect massive gravitational anomalies throughout the nebula, reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Knox, her fingers dancing over the tactical display. Whatever's in there, it's big. Multiple contacts, possibly 15 to 20 entities. Rivera nodded grimly. The Devourers were ancient, possibly older than most council species. They consumed entire star systems, stripping them of matter and energy before moving on. No one knew where they came from, only that they appeared periodically to feast, and that they had never been truly defeated, only driven off at enormous cost. All stations report ready, Captain, announced Commander Elena Vasquez from the engineering station. Fusion reactors at full power, FTL drive standing by. Take us in, Helm. Nice and steady. The Indomitable slipped into the nebula like a knife cutting through silk. Reality twisted around them. Colors that had no names, sounds that registered on instruments but not in human ears. Then they saw them. The Devourers were magnificent and terrible, beings of pure energy wrapped in shells of crystallized space-time. They moved like living auroras, vast and alien, their presence warping the very fabric of reality. The smallest was the size of a city. The largest dwarfed entire moons. Sweet mother of... Someone whispered over the comm. Belay that, Rivera snapped. Remember why we're here. Humanity doesn't back down. The first Devourer noticed them, turning with impossible grace despite its massive size. Energy crackled along its form as it began to approach, reality bending around it like a lens. Tactical. Target the lead entity. All batteries fire. The Indomitable's weapons lit up space, streams of superheated plasma and relativistic projectiles slamming into the creature's crystalline shell. The Devourer shuddered but kept coming, its form already beginning to adapt to the human weapons. Minimal damage, Nox reported. It's learning our attack patterns. Rivera grimaced. This was exactly what the Council expected. Another young species throwing conventional tactics at an unconventional enemy. But humanity hadn't survived everything from ice ages to nuclear weapons by being conventional. All right, people, time to show them what humans do best. Vasquez, prepare for emergency FTL jump. I want micro jumps, 1-second burns, random vectors. Sir, that's insane, Vasquez protested. The power requirements alone. Do it. Nox, I want firing solutions on all Devourers, but don't fire until I give the word.
And prep the singularity torpedoes. What followed was a dance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Indomitable began jumping, not the careful, calculated FTL transits that all spacefaring species used, but rapid, almost reckless micro-jumps
that brought them in and out of normal space faster than the Devourers could track. Each jump brought them to a new angle, a new position, keeping the ancient entities constantly off balance. The Devourers tried to adapt, tried to predict the human ship's movements, but humanity's greatest strength had always been its unpredictability. Where other species followed patterns, used time-tested strategies, humans improvised. Now, Rivera shouted. The Indomitable materialized directly in the center of the Devourer formation and fired every weapon simultaneously. But these weren't standard weapons. Nox had modified the targeting systems to create resonance patterns, using the creature's own crystalline structures against them. The singularity torpedoes, meanwhile, created localized space-time distortions that disrupted the entity's energy matrices. The effect was immediate and devastating. The lead Devourer let out a sound that reality itself seemed to scream, its form destabilizing as cascade failures ripped through its energy fields. 2 more entities began to collapse, their crystalline shells cracking like broken glass. But the humans weren't done. As the remaining Devourers closed in, Rivera gave his final order. All hands, brace for ramming speed. Engineering, overload the fusion reactors and eject them in our wake. The Indomitable accelerated to impossible speeds, threading the needle between 2 massive Devourers while leaving a trail of overloading fusion reactors behind. The explosions, when they came, created a chain reaction that tore through the nebula, like a nova, the raw energy overwhelming the creature's ability to feed and adapt. When the light faded, only the Indomitable remained, battered but intact, drifting among the scattered remains of beings that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. In the council chambers, 43 species sat in stunned silence. The Vortai, Speaker's mandibles trembled as it processed what they had witnessed through the quantum-linked sensors. Finally, the elderly Kethmori representative spoke, her voice carrying across the chamber with surprising strength. In 8,000 years, no species has ever defeated the Devourers completely. They have been driven off, contained, occasionally wounded. But never. She paused, her amber eyes finding the human delegation. Never destroyed. Admiral Chen stood straighter, pride filling her chest as she thought of Captain Rivera and his crew, already on their way home to a hero's welcome. Humanity doesn't just survive honorable representatives. We excel at the impossible. We thrive. In chaos. And when the galaxy faces its darkest hour, we don't ask what's been tried before, we ask what's never been tried at all. The vote for humanity's admission to the Galactic Council was unanimous. One battle had indeed changed everything, but not in the way the Council had expected. They had sought to test humanity's worth, and instead discovered something far more valuable: hope. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy had found a species that didn't just endure the impossible, they made it look easy. And in the depths of space, other ancient threats that had slumbered for eons began to take notice of the young species that fought like devils and never ever gave up.